Part 3 is about word problems. And word problems are not our strong suits. It's because we tend to overthink or we don't want to think about it. So for 1B.9 part 3, it's focused on word problems. So we're gonna start off with a small word problem first. So here it's that it's two sentences. Oh, look, this is two sentences. It says the perimeter of a rectangle garden is 80. Shh, guys, I'm really trying to talk over y'all, and I barely have a voice, and I would like for me not to keep straining it every day. The perimeter of a rectangular garden is 84 feet. Okay, express its area A as a function of the width W of a side. So it's giving you enough information to create this. So the first fact that you know is that your perimeter is 84 feet. How do you find perimeter of a rectangle? You add up all the sides. So the formula for perimeter of a rectangle is 2L plus 2W. Does that ring a bell? Yes. Okay, we know that our perimeter is 84. So we know we have 84 equals 2L plus 2W. Yes? It wants us to create an expression using area. So create a function based on the area, knowing this about our perimeters in terms of the W. So what we're looking for is A of W is what we're trying to create. Area given the width. Okay? How do you find area of a rectangular prism? Exactly. Area is length times width, right? We don't want length at all involved. We want it in terms of W. So that means we have to find something to substitute in for W. Ignore my pen. I don't know what's wrong with it. We got to find something to substitute in for L so that it's only in terms of W. Okay, so when I have to use what I have here to manipulate that. Is that cool? All right, the first thing I can do with this is to simplify this. I can divide everything by 2. Why can I divide everything by 2? They all have 2 in common. So now we're working with 42 equals L plus W. And I'm going to do what? I'm going to subtract the W so that I can find a value to substitute in for the L. Good job. L equals 42 minus W. So now I have a substitution for my L. So to get them what they want, area in terms of width would equal L is 42 minus W. And we already have our W. I clean that up. Area in terms of W equals 42W minus W squared. Distribute.
Like, so you have length times width, that 42 minus W being 74 out. You still have another W.
Like the W was already here because area equals length times width, right? So
Okay, I get it.
42 minus W is length.
Yeah, and then
We're substituting it in. So what this is useful for, let's say that you are constructing your garden, and now from here on out, you know every time you change the width, how that's going to affect your area, right? That's what you're trying to figure out. If I change my width, how is my area going to be affected? So if my width is now 5, then my area will be this. If my width is now 10, my area will be this. If I keep expanding my garden, what's going to happen? Okay, so that's what this is asking you. So creating formulas from word problems. What typically happens from here is now they may ask you, what is the area of the garden if your width is blah, 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 right? But the key thing is being able to create that formula. What are your questions about creating this formula? Because this would be what AP Pre-Cal considers a base formula.
I like this.
So we're good at base level.
Yeah, we should stay here. We should stay at base.
All right, we're not. We're going to take it up one little notch. We're not. We're just going to take it up one little notch. I believe in you. All right, so now we're going to talk about volume. So it says the volume of a right circular cone is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay. If the height is twice the radius, what express the volume as a function of the radius. So given this information, we know that height is, anytime you're reading this, it is height is twice the radius. That is what it's telling you. Is telling you that this is what something is. This is what something is equal to. Does that make sense? So now we would have two equations. So one equation is height is double the radius. The other one that we're working with is our volume. But it wants our volume in terms of what? Radius. So we want volume in terms of R. And they gave us our H. Can I find volume in terms of R? So I'm replacing the H with what they've given me. So we have 1/3 pi R squared, but instead of H, we're writing what? 2R. And now we're going to clean this up. So V of R equals 2/3 pi R cubed. Are we comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Number times number, 1/3 times 2 is 2/3. R squared times R is R cubed. Pi didn't multiply by anything. Yes, numbers with numbers, letters with letters. Okay, you can also write it as 2 pi over 3 R cubed, whichever way you want to write it. These are equivalent statements. 1/3 times 2 over 1 equals 2 over 3.
You don't mix letters and numbers, right?
Nope. All right. Now it says find the volume of a paper snow cone whose radius is 2. Can I do that now? Without worrying about the height? Yes, because my volume's in terms of the what? The radius. So now I only need to know one detail of what's taking place instead of knowing two details about something. Okay. So here we're now looking for V of 2. So we have 2 pi over 3 times 2. We know R now. So that gives us 2 pi times 8 over 3. Which equals 16 pi over 3 inches cubed. If it asks you if this is an option, awesome, stop here. If it's not an option or it says to round, then put that whole thing in the calculator. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I put that whole thing in the calculator, the approximate value would be 16 and 755,000 inches cubed. But if I,
they need the pi out.
if they're gonna leave pi, they're gonna leave it in fractions. If they've used pi, it's gonna be everything in decimal. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go up another notch? Okay.
Oh, wait, Mitch, can you go back one real quick? Sorry.
Right.
All right. So, next it says, here we go. Grain is leaking through a hole in a storage bin at a constant rate of 6 cubic inches per minute. The grain forms a cone-shaped pile on the ground below. As it grows, the height of the cone always remains equal to its radius. If the cone is 2 feet tall now, how tall will it be in 1 hour? Okay, so what was given to us here? It's 2 feet tall right now. So we know it's 6 cubic inches per minute. And we know that the height equals the radius. Do we see that? And the cone is currently right now 2 feet tall. And it wants to know how tall is it after 1 hour, which means that we're going to be talking about 60 minutes. So the first thing we need to do is to remember that we were just given the volume of a cone, right? Volume of a cone equals pi over 3. What is wrong with my pen? I cannot take it today. Pi over 3 r squared times the height. No, they'll usually give you some of the formulas. But if they've given it to you once on the test, they're not going to repeatedly give it to you. They're like, oh, I've already told you volume. So you should be able to remember it or go back to that problem.
Write it down.
Okay, so with this in mind, because our r equals h, this is actually v equals pi over 3 r cubed. Does that make sense? Because your r and your h are the same. Okay. So now we're at trying. It says it in here. Height of our cone equals this. All right. So now what else do we know?
We're calculating 1 hour.
So it's 2 feet tall, which means that how many inches is that? It's 24 inches, right? So right now it's currently 24 inches. Because it's 24 inches, I can tell you what the current volume is. Does that make sense? So right here, we know that h equals 2 feet, which equals 24 inches. And h also equals our what? R. Agree? So we have v equals pi over 3 times 24 to the third. So right now I can calculate the current volume. We're going to leave it in terms of pi. So we're doing 24 to the third divided by 3. Someone with a calculator, be our friend. And we wonder why we're lost sometimes. What'd you get?
I got 13,000.
Did you divide by 3? Okay, so that's the current volume. Are we comfortable with the current volume?
Yeah.
Did you divide by 3? You did 24 to the third divided by 3? No, don't put pi in. I put my pi. All right, we will finish this tomorrow.